1992, this car cost £1.2 million. Pictures of naked ladies. Took out the back window, put in some speakers and made a much bigger boot. A gun cupboard back here. Motors on each of the front wheels. Single-handedly responsible for keeping Bentley and Rolls-Royce in business. Join me from the weird and wonderful interior of one of the rarest cars I've ever driven. Probably one of the rarest Bentleys in existence. This is the 1 of 11 Bentley Turbo R Val D'Isere. And other than the insane spec, what makes this car special? Well, the most important thing about this car is its provenance. If we look under the sun visor here, we can see two gentlemen. The one on the left is Prince Jeffrey Bolkiah of Brunei. He is the brother of the Sultan of Brunei. And the one on the right is his son, so the Sultan's nephew. So, what does that mean? A lot of people have heard about the infamous Brunei Royal Family's car collection. And a lot of people referred to them as being the Sultan of Brunei's cars. That is a little bit of a misconception. In truth, it was Jeffrey on the left who spent $15 billion of his country's money, almost half of that on cars, on 7,000 cars in the 80s and 90s. And this was one of his incredible creations. So exactly what is it? This is a 1992 Bentley Turbo R. It was quickly sent to Jankel Design, who are well known for doing things like stretching cars and armouring cars, and it had an estate put on it. So let's jump out of the car and show you exactly what I mean by that. So I said that it was an estate car. I meant that quite literally. This car has been converted from, of course, the Bentley Turbo R saloon into a station wagon or a shooting brake or an estate or whatever you choose to call it. And that makes it very special and unique. As I said, only 11 of these were ever done by Jankel Design, each called the Val D'Isere, as you can see on the badge here. Bentley Val D'Isere. Val D'Isere is a ski resort in France, which this car is named after because of the all-wheel drive system, which I'll tell you about in a moment, the shorter rear overhang, and of course the estate boot. They made it all better for off-road scenarios, of course. Val D'Isere, the Alps, the snow. This car was meant to be used off-road. So I mentioned all-wheel drive, and this all-wheel drive system is a very complicated one. It's complicated to say, never mind to use. It is a belt-driven system, so there are motors on each of the front wheels that are hydraulically driven by a belt and tooth system off the transmission, and that disengages above 30 miles an hour. Super complicated, however perfect for getting this car out of sticky situations like snow and mud. So you've probably gathered that this car is quite bespoke and a special creation. So just how bespoke was it? This car is from 1992. This one is very special because it is the last ever Val D'Isere made of the 11. And in 1992, this car cost £1.2 million. To put that into perspective, a McLaren F1 was around about 700k. So this was significantly more to have one of these. The standard car, the Turbo R, was about 100k. So this is 12 times more expensive per car. And of course, they ordered 11 of them. So a very big bill. In fact, it's actually said that in the 80s and 90s, the Brunei Royal Family were single-handedly responsible for keeping Bentley and Rolls-Royce in business because they were ordering so many wacky creations. So I have actually presented another YouTube video on this car with a place that I do work with, Topaz Detailing, where we showed you around the car and we detail the car, hence why it's looking so great. But some people in the comments criticised that we didn't show you enough of the details on the car and that some things were skipped over. So now I want to show you really close up everything. First of all, the engine bay. To open the engine, there's a lever down here, and that quite smoothly allows the bonnet to pop, and it doesn't open like a standard car. It goes forwards and it reveals the 6.75 litre turbocharged V8 engine that produces around about 300 horsepower and 660 newton meters of torque, which again is perfect for this all-wheel drive car to get it out of those situations where there's not a lot of grip. And it's immaculate under here in this engine bay, again thanks to the efforts of Topaz Detailing. But really nice way that the bonnet opens and closes like this, just lets you know that this is something a little bit more special than your standard family car. So having a look in the rear, this is where the car starts to get physically different to the standard Turbo R. So first thing to point out, this isn't different, but it is a lovely feature. These deep pile lamb's wool carpets, proper of a Bentley or a Rolls-Royce of this era. Then there's the leather. Now, we don't know the colour code or anything like that for the leather, but we do know that this colour scheme was inspired by the Empire Hotel, which the Brunei Royal Family owned in Brunei. Hence why they chose for this particular car to go with this colour scheme. However, there are 10 other cars and they are also in wild specifications. There's one in particular that I have to overlay now to show you. Full yellow car with bright red and yellow interior. If people think this is a wacky spec, just take a look at that one. Then, if I take a seat inside and I show you what is above me, we've got this incredible yellow quilted stitched full leather headlining. I've never seen anything quite like it. We've got this armrest here, which pulls down like that, revealing yet more blue leather. And then in the back, this is where it really gets interesting. If I pop the boot open for you. Now, I was really hoping that there would be a gun cupboard back here, with it being a shooting break and with there being pictures of the royal family out hunting. However, unfortunately, in here is not a gun cupboard, but I will show you for your interest. This is a sound system, which the speakers are up here. Again, clearly the prince liked to be able to listen to his tunes because this is a bespoke made system, which is obviously not on the standard Turbo R. Then behind that, we've got this large boot area, which frustratingly doesn't have any kind of parcel shelf that pulls over, which having used this car for a couple of days, I've found there's actually nowhere in this car to hide things out of sight. And believe me, it's a car that people do look out. So, you know, it's annoying that there's nowhere to put anything away. We'll shut the boot, and then this is an entirely bespoke panel, this boot. And of course the whole rear quarters, because it is only these 11 cars that are built like this. Something else that's a nice touch, these roof rails, these aren't bespoke, these are actually taken from the Mercedes W123 estate, which some people notice, so that's a nice detail. And then the colour, we don't know the colour code, is a very bright, vibrant blue. In the sun, unfortunately the sun's setting now, in the sun this colour looks amazing. Then we've got the chrome wheels as well. So, sitting in the driver's seat, what else can I point out to you? We've got all sorts of lovely dials, wood. Funny enough, mentioning this wood and what I said about the sun visors here with this inlaid, some of these cars actually don't have wood here. They have similar pictures of the family hunting, and then there's even one, I believe, that has pictures of naked ladies inlaid into the wood here, which I've never seen it in person, but I am told one does exist. Elsewhere, we've got all the air conditioning controls down here. We've even got a sport button. I don't know how much difference that makes, but this is a 6.75 litre V8. And then under here, if we move these armrests up, we've got memory seats and heated seats from a car in 1992. It's pretty impressive. Then I love these plungers here. These are to control the ventilation through these big chunky vents. And then under here, we've got a glove box, which is nice, lovely wooden quality piece. Very nice indeed. Now I'm going to fire the car up and show you a little bit more about that. So, turn it on. Hear the V8 fire into life. There are a few things that I quite like about this car. It's got a parking brake, which you put on with your foot down there, and instead of there being a release, it automatically disengages when you put the car into drive. I've never seen a car like that before. I'm sure it is common of all Bentley Turbo Rs, but it's a nice luxury feature on this car that I quite enjoy. Also, other things that we've got that I've just remembered, we've got town and country horn, so that's one setting, and then we press that, and it sounds a little bit more like a ferry, which this car is pretty much a land yacht. Down here we've got a button that says map, and no, that's not a magic sat nav that appears out of the dash in 1992. That would be very impressive. Instead, it's much more simple. Press this and it illuminates all of the interior lights other than the driver's light, so that the passengers can read a map and navigate without distracting the driver. So more things that people wanted to see that we didn't really show in the other video were the way this was designed, this area around here. So bring the camera inside. You can see originally on the saloon, this would have been where the rear windscreen came. However, of course, that's been extended. Instead, we've got this large yellow leather piece here, swathes of yellow leather everywhere, actually. Again, with those speaker mesh surrounds placed in top of it. That's basically what they did. They took out the back window, put in some speakers, and made a much, much bigger boot. So I said there was 11 of these ordered by the Brunei Royal Family. This one is extra special because this is the only one now in private hands. It's the only one to have escaped the Royal Collection. You might say, well, I've seen the white one in London and so on. These cars belong to Royal Family Brunei, just in different countries where they choose to use them. This is the only one of the Turbo R Val D'Isere, the only one of the 11 that is in private hands, which makes it completely unique. So touching on the Brunei Royal Family, $5 billion in the 80s and 90s, which then was a lot of money. Now it's a lot of money, but then it was really a lot of money. $5 billion was spent on cars, over 7,000 cars, which have always been mythical, to be honest. It's such an honour to be able to be up close and personal with cars that I never really even truly believed existed, never mind thought would come to the UK. It's said that over 240 Bentleys were ordered by the Brunei Royal Family, but I think it's actually much more than that. When they were ordering things 11 at once, because I want that one in estate form, I want that one in convertible form, I want that one in SUV form, for instance. They pretty much invented the Bentayga 30 years before it came out, which I'll overlay a picture of. And it's just a shame, really, that that kind of thing doesn't happen today, because no one really likes to coach build cars anymore. No one wants to spend insane, 10 times the value of a car to make it just how they want it. Such is the way that car manufacturing and ownership has changed. But we still have this wonderful car here for us to enjoy and appreciate. So thank you to the Carco Chelsea, who actually imported this car to the UK for its current owner. And for now, I'm just going to leave you with some shots of this wonderful thing cruising around. So I'm going to fire it up and drive off. Thank you for watching.